Hitting the drive-thru for a greasy cheeseburger seemed like modern institutions.
That's not a cheeseburger. That is a,
Twinkies and hitting the drive-thru for a greasy cheeseburger seemed...
That looks like a deep sea double from Rally's, but maybe not, because it might be a chicken sandwich, like a Burger King chicken sandwich or something, because that's not a McChicken, because McChickens don't have sesame seeds on the buns. But something about the lettuce is telling me it might be from McDonald's, so I don't know.
like modern institutions. But the world's love affair with junk food is a tale as old as time. A lot of what would become the fast food industry began in medieval Europe, where people satisfied their junk food cravings with some interesting cuisine. But knights weren't exactly galloping their horses through the drive-thru
I was a
or
knight!
grabbing candy bars on their way to the castle. Instead, medieval fast food catered to travelers and the poor, and it wasn't always tasty. Today in Weird History, we're taking a look at what junk food was like in the Middle Ages. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel. And while you're
Chat, would
there,
I make a
leave
good knight,
comment
you think?
and let us know what other historical food topics you would like to hear about next. Okay, time to get medieval on those Cool Ranch Doritos.
What?
London.
What would I say? Takeout was invented because poor Londoners weren't able to cook. Would that not be more expensive?
Is a city known for its major landmarks and for being a hub of British culture, as well as being the place where Harry
bottle
Potter
of
was
water.
hatched in Big Ben by owls. During the Middle Ages, London was a center of trade and commerce, but poverty throughout Europe was high. So for many Londoners, it wasn't easy, convenient, or even possible to cook at home.
Did you have your beans and
Cooking
taste
equipment
this
and
morning?
fuel weren't exactly cheap. On top of that, the poor were packed into tenement housing that often didn't have any furnishings, let alone a hearth. Without a hearth, cooking was essentially an unscalable mountain, unless you wanted to fill your home with smoke and risk burning your already meager dwelling.
My bad.
So people visited cook shops instead, the old-timey equivalent of picking up some takeout. Cook shops sprouted up around the Thames to serve the community's fast food needs.
Cook shops? That's called a restaurant, buddy.
24-hour cook shops supplied hot food to tourists and residents alike. They were open every day, with menus that changed depending on the season. But instead of driving through on a chariot or horse, the
Don't
cook
hit that
shops offered
horse!
more of a stroll-through experience. Customers would walk up to the shops to purchase their favorite hot meal. Others would buy what they wanted, then take it home to eat later, because scarfing down a plate of takeout is not always what you want to do in
That's definitely a single cheeseburger from McDonald's right there.
public. Cook shops weren't limited to London. One city street in Bristol became known as Cook's Row. Bristol's cook shops offered more variety, including poultry and fish, and may have been among the first to subscribe to the adage, "It's the smell."
Yo, Chad, is seafood and like water-based food like just better than every land food? I feel like it is, man. But there, for some reason, there's a whole lot of people out there that just hate seafood. I'll never understand. Crawdads are good. Shrimp is good. Fish is good. Crab cakes. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it's all good. Fish sticks. You know what I mean? But what does land animals got? What they got, a steak? Oh, I got some chicken. Oh, I got some ooh, wow, never mind. It's a close battle, chat. Chat, it's a close battle. Oh yeah, chat, by the way, we might be doing a noodle tier list soon, because one of my YouTube guys, he's from Taiwan. He went to a bunch of noodle places in Taiwan, and he picked me some stuff up. W. Stefan.
cells. They'd have their hearths outside the shop and would strategically throw food on to cook so that the smell would entice customers over to grab a quick bite. Some shops served sweets. Others were known for their pancakes and bread. But the most popular might have been the shops that sold meat pies.
Oh my goodness, that's disgusting! Dude, that's nasty.
Delicious
man.
meat-based treats were a popular seller, kind of like a medieval hamburger, but
No.
without the fries and Coke. Speaking of burgers,
Meat pies were the Big Macs of the dark. Uh-huh.
everyone loves a Big Mac.
No, they don't. I don't.
something about clenching most of the basic food groups in your fist and then horking them down like a snake smuggling.
Bro, how much did they have to pay you to get butt naked and sit there and eat a hamburger on camera, bro? This dude probably did this for $30. Yo, Kinsey with the 5.
Dinner through airport security. So it makes sense that meat pies, the dark age version of a drive-in hamburger, were so popular. These savory little hot pockets were filling and portable, the mark of a blockbuster fast food item. But Mrs. Lovett's signature dish had a dark side.
To live back then, bro,
spoiled
because
meat.
you only got
As it
nothing
turns
good
out,
to eat.
rancid ingredients could be a real problem in medieval cuisine. According to a 13th century Norwich report, cooks would use diseased pork in their pies, serving the customers without batting an eye. It wasn't uncommon for shop owners to warm up days-old spoiled pies instead of wasting them. Poverty was extremely desperate, and food safety wasn't exactly on the cooks' minds. So the decision whether to heap expired food onto the garbage cart or reheat it and sell it to customers was often disturbingly easy.
Man, I would have hated to
Probably like it
live
is
back
today,
then,
if
bro.
we're being totally honest. When they weren't recycling bad food, shops often undercooked the meat, which earned some cooks a bad reputation. A saying from the time.
No, that cow dead, Chad. Look at him. He dead and gone. Chad, he dead and gone, man. They ate it. Yo, Chad, can we talk about how absolutely horrible that it would have been to live back then, though? Like, could you imagine the atrocities? You ain't got nothing good to eat. If you get hurt or something, you ain't got no anesthesia to put you out while you're getting a surgery. Yo, I remember I seen a documentary one time. There was like the areas they would cut your leg off with no anesthetics. You would just have to sit there and take it if you had to get an amputation. They just cut your leg off. You'd be fully awake. Seeing them cut your leg off, dude. Yo, Planetary with the 5. You can't take a shower.
Claimed
Hey, the guy that just said no Fortnite. What? Yo, Fluffy with the 5.
God sends the meat, but the devil sends the cooks. The shift manager at Waffle
Gorgeous
House
with
used
the
to say
5.
the same thing.
Waffle House! Carb loading including bread bowls, pretzels, and booze.
Bread was one of the most common foods during Europe's Castle period.
Still is,
but most
Buster.
households didn't have their own grain, so they had to buy it from bakers. And while selling ready-made bread was great, bakers could do much more than that for their customers. For example,
Man,
if someone
why are you
brought
so
their own
happy
meat
about
to the
that?
bakery, they could have the baker wrap it in bread and bake it. The idea caught on, maybe a little too well. London passed a law in 1350 preventing bakers from charging more than a penny if customers brought their own meat from home. Meanwhile, you bring your own meat to Burger King one time, they ban you for life. It wasn't like it was a cow. I'm not sure what the big deal was. Another modern-day fast food item came about around this time, too. The bread bowl. Modern Europeans pioneered the concept by serving soup and stews in a bowl made out of bread.
Oh
They called
my.
trenchers. The
Oh
practice helped
my.
bulk up a meal, and was probably cheaper as it cut down on the need for dishes.
Oh.
But bread bowls weren't the only carb-loading option of the Middle Ages. In addition to being a staple of state fairs and aimless mall wandering, soft pretzels.
Yeah, somebody said a
were
good
also
point. They ain't got no noodles back then. Could you imagine a life without noodles? I've never met a single person in this world that doesn't like noodles. There's not a single person in here right now that doesn't like noodles. There's not. Everybody likes them. They're universally beloved. Ban everybody that just said I don't.
Incredibly popular in medieval Europe. 3 simple ingredients combined to create the twisted treat. Just mix a little bit of water, some flour, and some salt. And you've got yourself a filling snack officially approved by the Catholic
Ooh, that
Church.
looks good. That's some
right.
pretzel
During
action right
fasting
there. I like
periods
some
like
pretzel
Lent,
action.
when Catholics avoided eating certain animal products, pretzels often took their place as a substitute. Monks would hand them out to kids reciting their prayers, while others would distribute them to the poor. Outside of the church, pretzels became a symbol of luck and prosperity. And what's not to feel lucky about when you're chowing down on a handmade pretzel? Nothing completes a fast food run like a 6-pack of booze.
Huh?
Because if you're treating yourself, you might as well go all the way. And while drinking alcohol has been a popular activity, medieval Europeans really liked to drink.
Ale
possibly
drinker.
because they were living in medieval Europe. Not even Lent had any effect on the common folks' thirst for memory-erasing refreshment. Part of observing Lent meant not eating meat, so folks would fill that gap in their regular diets with other things. Fish became the alternative choice for some, others turned to booze. While it provided temporary solace from abstaining, the practice of staying thoroughly soaked through Lent didn't sit well with some prominent religious figures. In 1400, the Benedictine monk Robert Ripon had strong words for anyone drowning their sorrows.
Yes, catfish!
He scolded excessive drinking as flying in the face of the abstinence that Lent was meant to symbolize, and opined that people got more drunk during Lent than they did during the entire rest of the year. Of course, he probably didn't have to eat some of the meat substitutes that commoners were forced to turn to, like the mock egg, a dish that was invented as a meat replacement during Lent. If he had, he might have been pounding brews in the tavern right beside them.
Dude, I wanted
Making
to be
a mock egg is easy
fisherman
even
at
today.
one point, too.
Just take a few empty eggshells, fill them with a mixture of almond milk jelly and crunchy almonds, then dye it yellow and choke it down with a mug of ale. Tasty? Now pass the beer, please.
Ugh. Sweets were so popular that the world's desert was coined? Huh? Oh, the word dessert was coined. Yo, Kinsey with the 5.
Sugar is one of those things we take for granted today.
So is.
But during the medieval period, sugar was pretty hard to come by and was usually out of reach of the masses. Only those who could afford the expensive sweet stuff regularly consumed it. So rather than sugar-filled candy bars, people would flock to
Dude, yeah, that's another point. Chat, there was like wars that were fought. And you'd be like, oh, the Great War of 1512. And then you look up why the war was fought. They were fighting people over like spices and stuff. Like, oh man, I heard there was a ship coming down through here. It's got a bunch of salt and pepper on it. Let's go kill them and take it. Like, how was y'all, like, bro, you could just went to Walmart and got some.
the cook shops for treats sweetened with honey.
Yeah, the tea, remember the what was that called when they got the tea and threw it in there? Chad, what was that called? Where they threw the tea in the water. Yeah, the Boston Tea Party, bro. Dude. Bro, chat, many of people have died over some food. Not even food, but some you would have fought in that war. Yeah, get that dude banned. But many of people have died, like, not over just food, but just like spices and stuff, bro. Dude, that's crazy, man.
A fritter recipe from the 14th century cookbook Anonimo Veneziano calls for apples.
Dude, what goober just said? I just saw somebody respond to a comment and they said LMAO, and I saw the comment they responded to, and this dude said Pearl Harbor. Buddy, are you dumb?
Saffron, flour, and honey. An earlier, more frugal fritter recipe was just fried dough, stuffed with gingered almonds and topped.
Oh my goodness, that looks like them funnel cakes. Chat, y'all ever had a funnel cake? Oh my goodness, them funnel cakes are so good. But if you eat too much of them, you're gonna die the next day.
With a delicious bee
Man,
juice.
thank you.
Gingerbread, another popular item for satisfying the peasantry's sweet tooth, also used honey, incorporating ginger, cloves, and pepper, giving it an inimitable sweet and spicy flavor. But when you're in the mood to throw money at a cholesterol spike, there's nothing quite like the funnel cake. A delicious
Oh my goodness, dude, look at it. If you have never had a funnel cake, you I'm telling you right. Yo, AO with the 5, get the WAO. Chat, if you have never had a funnel cake, chat, you gotta tell them, bro. Bro, you like, dude. And they got the powdered sugar on it too, bro. If you've never had one, I'm like so serious. You got to go find one and get it, and make sure they did it right too. Because if you get a good funnel cake with the powdered sugar, oh man.
Fried dough and powdered sugar, the mother of all carnival foods, got its start in medieval times.
I love you.
Funnel cakes began as fried cakes called crisps. Because of their sugary topping, the cakes were
And to this day, people from Britain still call tater chips crisps. Hey, can I get a bag of crisps? Like, dude, just call it a chip, man. But y'all want to call French fries chips. Like what? Case oranger than his cat with the 10 gifted. W orange with the 10 gifted. Thank you. Yeah, y'all say chicken burger. I'm gonna go down to yeah.
Treat. Since ingredients like sugar was so limited, people would often improvise their own recipes, which is how we got dishes like fritter of milk.
And you know what y'all call breakfast over there? Pudding. They call breakfast pudding. No, they call dessert pudding. No, not breakfast. They call dessert pudding. Like, hey, what you gonna have for pudding? No, not breakfast, but dessert. Hey, man, what you gonna have for pudding? What you talking about?